Hello, welcome back. I hope that I'm following the schedule because I'm recording this ahead of time. So I don't know if I'm following schedule. I don't know if I upload this the same day or I don't know. But let's jump right into it. Canary by Cloud9 and 3/4. Chapter 12. How it all came together. Midoriya wasn't usually one to feel much pride about himself, but yesterday had been the exception. He actually sang to someone present mic didn't count. He always walked in part way through the song, so Midoriya didn't have to muster the courage to begin. All he had to do is not stop. With Shinso, it had been different. But Shinso, of all people, deserved it. For it was only because of him that Midoriya had been able to muster the courage to begin singing at all. Only because of him he found his quirk. Now Midoriya had been thinking a lot about this, mainly because that was all he ever did. But why had he only discovered his quirk now? It must have manifested when he was younger, like everyone else, but he never came across the right conditions for it to present itself. Then there was an extra toe joint in his little toe, convincing him there was no point in the search for a quirk. His ability was a freak mutation. Perhaps he did inherit quirklessness from his parents, but a separate mutation resulted in a brand new quirk, stronger than any normally inherited powers, and finding that power was a simple singing a song. Why he hadn't found it before? Surely everyone sings something at some point in their lives, including Midoriya. That thought was what had led him to discover another aspect of his quirk. He called it euphoria songs. As in happiness songs? Questioned Shinso that Thursday afternoon, as the two of them packed away their things at the end of the day. Granted, that task took awful lot longer than usual if they were trying to sign at the same time. Yeah, a song which gives me a weak ability. One that only makes other people happy, or I suppose I could include songs which grant any other type of emotion. But I feel like happiness is the most common, Midoriya explained. So you think you never found your quirk before because the only song you've ever sang granted a happiness power. I think it's most likely like Happy Birthday, for instance, or nearly any Christmas song. Or if you sang, for example, Let It Snow when it already was snowing. Exactly. I have no idea if my singing had anything to do with it, or other song ability could be narrowed down to coincidences, or maybe I just didn't sing enough if some songs to activate my quirk. Shinso smiled, pausing in his signing so he could finish packing his bag. Slinging it over his shoulder, he said, I can't believe you have a quirk. Me neither, Midoriya signed in reply, bouncing to his feet as he also finished packing. And the radio station thing too, continued Shinso, as they walked out of class one scene. I went to listen to all of your shows. You've got a bit of a fan base going, you know that, right? Midoriya sighed audibly. I know, we made a social media account for Canary last Tuesday, and they already have so many followers. It's crazy. Shinso huffed. The sports festival is going to be interesting, that's for sure. Midoriya nodded frantically, unsure whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. Why is it going to be interesting? It was Uraraka who had just joined the duo, alongside Ida on their way down to the exit of the school. You'll see, was all Shinso said in reply. As Uraraka tried desperately to convince Shinso to tell her what he meant, Midoriya's thought returned to the radio show. It was Thursday, so he was due at the station soon. But he still had homework to do. If he arrived a little earlier than usual, perhaps he could do it in the waiting room whilst he froze. Is something wrong, Midoriya? Questioned Ida, frowning and looking back as Midoriya desperately thrust his hand into all the various pockets of his clothing. Have you lost something? Guessed Uraraka. Midoriya had pulled off his bag at this point, tipping out its contents in a distressed bid to locate it. Failing at that and putting his things away once more, Midoriya leapt to his feet and signed to Shinso, "My key card, it's gone." He glanced to the hero students. "What key card?" "The one for the radio station. I can't get it in without it." Shinso sighed. "He lost the key card for his flat," he lied. "You guys go on ahead. I'll help him find it." Not questioning the oddity of having a key card for a flat rather than an ordinary key, Uraraka and Ida immediately suggested that they should help too. "It's fine," insisted Shinsu. You'll miss your trains anyway." I've been with Midoriya all day. It can't be have gone far. I'll see you tomorrow." They weren't too keen to leave, but after registering the obvious dismissal by Shinso, the hero students waved goodbye and good luck in finding the keycard as they left the premises. "Okay, did you take it out at school at any point?" Shinso interrogated as soon as they were gone. Midoriya shook his head in a panic. "Why did you even bring it to school?" "Because I wasn't too sure if I wanted to stay behind and practice my quirk and then go straight to the radio station. But then we got all that maths homework and I decided maybe it would been best to—" "Okay, stopped," Shinto interrupted. Midoriya's hands movement had become so erratic that Shinto probably couldn't understand them anymore. "Let's just retrace our steps. It must have fallen out of your pockets at some point today. What does it look like?" "Orange, with the name Canary written on it." "Of course it does," Shinso sighed. Midoriya's eyes widened at the conclusion. If I knew I found the card they'd seen at the radio station logo and then the name Canary, if Midoriya went up to ask for it back, then he'd know he was Canary. "Come on, let's try and find it before someone else does," Shinso insisted. And also, with Ida not around to tell them off, they took off in a run up the corridors back to Class 1C. They surveyed every inch of the classroom, but it was nowhere to be seen. The length of the hallway down to the hall, not there either. Not even in the lunch hall itself. It gave any relief of their problem. But whilst Midoriya was seconds away from a panic attack, Shinso was far less worried. "You said that you have Cockatoo's number. Just tell him that you lost it and I'm sure he'll let you in. They'll get you a new one." Eventually, Midoriya gave in and nodded. They walked back down to Class 1C after checking it for a third time, about to leave when the school went, "No, look, it belongs to Canary." Midoriya and Shinso froze. Just behind them, standing outside of the doorway to Class 1B, a group of students crowded around a short girl with a black fringe so long that it rivaled what Kisho used to look like. He cut it much shorter now, so it looked worse. Shinso and Midoriya still called him Fringe in sign language anyway. Fringe 2.0 was rather short, so she held up what was in her hand so high that the air for their other classmates to see. A bright orange key card. Shinso swore quietly. He grasped Midoriya's arms and pulled him over to the group, whilst Midoriya struggled to get away in fear that Shinso would expose him. "Hey, what's that?" Shinso questioned, wearing one of the best poker faces Midoriya had ever seen. "It's Canary's," Fringe 2.0 explained excitably. "Who?" Shinso frowned. Midoriya was staring at him in awe. He was very good at acting like this sticked. "From the radio show?" scoffed one of the girls. "Seriously, have you been living under a rock or something?" Shinso rolled his eyes at her. "Well, whoever he is, I'm sure he'll want that back. Why don't you give it to Principal Nezu or something?" "Well, you two clearly don't know who Canary is, so allow me to explain. He's a guy in our year or one above, and he's becoming uber famous. He has a secret identity, so whoever comes and asks for the keycard back must be Canary and—" "Aren't you supposed to be hero students?" Shinso snapped. There was a bit of a crowd forming around them now. It seems like quite a few people were interested in who Canary was. The argument between Shinso and the group of Class 1B girls grew more escalated. Eventually, a girl with bright orange hair in a ponytail came between them and to back with Shinso, suggesting that they should take the card to a teacher and leave Canary alone. Midoriya, meanwhile, had decided that he should suck up the courage and take this matter into his own hands. He left Shinso's side unbeknownst to anyone and crept around the crowd to the other side where Fringe 2.0 was standing with the keycard. Shinso caught Midoriya's eye and realized what he was trying to do, so Shinso lunged forward in an apparent attempt to take the card. The girl backed away a little, holding the card behind her back. It was right in Midoriya's face. Shinso, of course, could have easily used his quirk and forced her to hand the card over, but Midoriya wasn't the only one hesitant to use his quirk. So Midoriya was right now in the corner of the crowd, directly behind where Fringe 2.0 had backed up to. Away from Shinso, Midoriya was blocked from view of many members of the crowd, as he could hope so. As Shinso caught his eye once again and lunged forward at the girl, Midoriya took that moment of surprise and snatched the card from her hand, thrusting it into his pocket without anyone noticing. Shinso cried out in fake frustration. "Fine, you do you," he hissed. "I seriously can't be bothered to meddle with anyone for hero course problems." He looked to the side to see Midoriya there as if he'd never left. "Come on, let's get out of here," he grumbled. The two left without another word. They turned around the corner as they heard a frantic shout from behind them. "Hey, where'd the card go?" Midoriya and Shinso exclaimed glances, struggling to hold back their laughter. "You did get it right," Shinso confirmed, hesitating at the bottom of the stairs. Midoriya waved the orange card at him. "I am a master pickpocket." "That's not at all worrying." They hesitated, turning slowly towards the origin of the voice, just behind them up the stairs. It was another girl, with deep purple hair and oddly shaped earlobes. Were those ox cord attached to her skin? "We were just going to give it to Principal," Shinso insisted without missing a beat. "Sure," the girl said, raising a brow. "And you don't sound exactly like Canary. Trust me, I'll always remember a voice." Midoriya tried desperately to reply, but his voice got stuck in his throat again. So he did the next best thing and lifted his fingers so his lips bit in a bid to keep her quiet. She smiled. "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone, Canary." They began walking together as Midoriya slipped the card securely in his pocket once more. "What's your name?" Shinso questioned after a while. "Jiro," she replied. "You?" "I'm Shinso. This is Midoriya." Midoriya gave a feeble wave. He was still a little glum that he'd been foolish enough to let the card get out of his sight in the first place. And that had end up like this. "Midoriya?" Jiro frowned. "As in Uraraka's friend? I thought you were mute." "Okay, how many people has Uraraka talked to about Midoriya?" Shinso sighed, voicing Midoriya's thoughts. "Oh, we were just talking about people from the other classes, and you were brought up in a conversation. Then you were really talking to each other at the USJ attack? It was something to divert the conversation to rather than think about everything that had just happened," she explained. "Oh, okay. That's a little less terrifying," thought Midoriya, as the three of them left UA. "So, anyway, you're on the radio show tonight, right?" Jiro asked Midoriya. He nodded hesitantly. "Are you going to sing this time?" Midoriya blinked at her, furrowing his brows. "Hey, I'm following you on social media," Jiro continued. Have you ever read the comment about you? Have you even read the comments about you? You have like an entire hashtag, dude. Everyone who's heard of you wants to know who you are. And if they're not talking about that, they are talking about your quirk." Midoriya looked at his feet, kicking at the gravel as they walked. "Sorry," Jiro said suddenly, "about following you guys and seeing the keycard. I saw you take it, but yeah, sorry. I have a hearing quirk, so usually I end up knowing things people like to keep under wraps." They stopped at the crossroads, the one where Shinso parted ways with Midoriya normally. Jiro turned towards the other road, about to leave. I'm good at keeping secrets, she insisted. But even you can't keep this hidden forever. The sports festival is just around the corner. They'll know who you are by then. So, yeah, just bear it in mind. Midoriya nodded, giving her a little bow and thanks rather than saying it out loud. She nodded in reply as well before turning and walking away, plugging one of her earphone jacks into her phone instead of having to do with both tangled wires. Shinso bit his lip, thinking hard about something before turning back to Midoriya. She must be another hero student, he realized. Might be our classmate in the future. Yours, maybe, Midoriya mumbled. I'm not sure about me. You'll be great in the sports festival, Midoriya, Shinso told him in determination. Not if I can't sing. You sang to me. You were great. That was different. I trust you. What do you need to trust me for? Questioned Shinso. Midoriya stopped fiddling with his fingers, looking up at him in confusion. So you trust me not to tell anyone that you're an amazing singer with an incredibly powerful quirk. It's not as if your secret is a bad thing. And if you're embarrassed by it, think of me. To get the people to talk to me, I can activate my quirk. I usually have to insult them, so everyone hates me by default, he laughed sadly. I don't hate you, Midoriya contradicted quietly. Shinso sighed and smiled. My point is, you literally have a fan base, and it's even bigger by tonight. Whatever you end up doing, it'll be fine. Midoriya gave him a meek smile in return. It was getting late. They'd killed a lot of time searching for the key card, but if Midoriya hurried, he'd be able to catch the next train back to his house, with enough time to spare to clean up and change. If he wanted to stick to his doing by his homework at this radio station idea, and also still feeling rather down, Midoriya bid Shinso goodbye and ran the rest of the way to the train station. He didn't take his key card to school for a while after that. Present Mike's radio show. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6:30 to 7:30. Canary's Hour. Present Mike. Yeah! Canary. Yay. It's 6:30 and we all know what that means. I'm here. Canary's Hour is upon us. Hi. Last time, on Tuesday, that is, we left off with the birth of Canary's little social media account, and it is already verified. It is? Yeah, have you not looked at it? I occasionally, but I have schoolwork to do, and that definitely wasn't last minute homework. I saw you doing some in the waiting room earlier. It was set today. It's due next week. Wait. So why were you doing homework in such a hurry? So I could get it done before the radio show started? But you have all week to do it. By which time I'll have more homework. Aren't you supposed to do all the work the day it's set unless you're overwhelmed? Well, most of my students don't. I'm one of your students. You're fluent in English. You don't count. You still give me homework. That's because you ask for it. Everyone else is doing it. I might as well, too. Okay, well, you're a way better student than I ever was. Thank you. Moving on, let's have a look at the growing pile of questions, shall we? Okay, and first thing I see is a super long paragraph. It isn't that long, says the guy who does the English essay for fun. But cutting to the chase, Music Lover, great name, asks this. We all know you go to UA and you're planning to go to the hero course with the sports festival. But how are you going to know who you are? Are you planning to show yourself in the beginning or after the sports festival starts? They also say that they can't wait to see you and they'll be watching at home and rooting for you. Thank you. Right. Well, my quirk is kind of tricky and it's rather unique too. I think you'll know who I am when I start using it. Canary has an awesome singing quirk. Look for the guy who is singing, and that's him. Oh, yeah, I suppose. Next question. Canary, you pick. Okay, this is from Evening Star. They ask how you have the courage to go on the radio. Isn't it scary? I'm afraid to go on stage. I wanted to ask how you do it. Can you help me? Canary is the wrong person to ask. I am. I have really bad anxiety. Social situations just make me freeze up. Like stage fright, only constantly. The radio feels different though. It was scary at first, but after a while, I just feel like I'm talking to cockatoo. By the way, if one of more person calls me Mr. Cockatoo at school one more time, Canary's soft laughter can be heard. I can tolerate you, but everyone? Present Mike distracts me from my nervousness by making me talk about something else. That's where the random facts came in. Wait, I really need my dose of random trivia. Canary, go! You can't just put me on the spot like that. Wait, whilst he panics in the corner for a moment, let me tell you what I told Canary before our first radio show. Everyone gets nervous. Even pro heroes coming in as guests get scared of the thought of coming here. But what I find helps is telling yourself that you're not nervous. You're excited to get it over and done with, perhaps. But the two emotions are surprisingly similar. I find this helps a lot. Canary looks satisfied with himself. Do we have a fact? A group of canaries is called an area. That's a lie. No, it's not. It's a flock, surely. And a group of cockatoos is called a chattering. Oh, come on, that can't be true. That sounds ridiculous. You're supposed to be an English teacher. Wait, I'm looking it up. Wait. Distant typing is heard before a pause and a gasp. Why are you always right? Canary laughs again. Right, one more question and then we'll move on to our next song. Oh, okay. Now, speaking of songs, I've collected a little bundle here. Many people asking the same question. So let's just choose a random representative. Nightwing 15. And they ask, can you sing us a song? Can I... What? You, not me. Look up any screeching cockatoo video on the internet, and that's about how close you're going to get. I don't know. You don't have to, no worries, but you're a great singer. He's really good, listeners. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to wait until the sports festival for that one, folks. But it's not far away, so we won't have to wait long. In the meantime, let's have some music. You okay there, Canary? Questioned President Mike, as they both took off their headphones. Midoriya had told his teacher about the incident with the key card earlier. He mentioned everything, including how Jiro found out, excluding what she said about his singing. I'm going to have to sing at the sports festival, he said, aware of how quiet his voice was. But I don't know if I can. Sure you can, President Mike exclaimed. You're going to be awesome, and you know it. Midoriya didn't say anything, just staring dolefully at the questions on his computer screen. We've got 3 more shows, not including this one, until the sports festival starts, President Mike reminded him. That's plenty of time. Look how far you've come already. Keep up this rate of progress and you'll be ready, for sure. Midoriya didn't feel so convinced. You could always try. He looked up at President Mike. Try singing? He repeated with a stutter. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there's another radio room that can be accessed off the waiting room. It's got another window with blinds over it. It does? Yeah, I guess you might have thought that it was just part of this room, but it's separate and completely soundproof. Your quirk won't reach the room, so you can sing whatever you want. Granted, it doesn't destroy the place. Midoriya hesitated. Ever conscious of the song playing on the radio as time kicked by. But what if I make a fool of myself? You won't, insisted President Mike. How many times have you sung something serious before? I walked into you singing the one that gave you wings. He wavered, thinking back over the times he'd activated his quirk. That was the 4th time. And you were awesome. Just think, with that little practice, you were that good. And you've been singing an awfully lot recently. After school, perhaps you're even better now, President Mike exclaimed. Plus, we can always make you sound better. Midori couldn't help but laugh with that. It's fine, you don't have to. There was a pause before President Mike said, "So you'll do it?" Midori didn't meet his eyes. I want to, but I'm nervous, Al. "You're not nervous," he suddenly exclaimed. Midori blinked at him. "You're excited!" Silence follows the song as the music dies out, before President Mike laughs in a mockingly villainous tone. "This is a bad idea. He has been convinced." I am feeling less convinced by the second. He is going to sing. "This is not a drill." This is so weird. I'm in a different room now, so my quirk won't affect Kakutu. But I can still hear him over the radio. It's strange not being able to see him. He's distracting himself. I told you distractions help. This is a mistake. No pressure. No one's pressuring you. We're all good. And if you want to, back to our mid-song, that's fine. But we're all rooting for you. Thanks. He chose the song, and I feel like this is him trying to tell us something. I already have an idea what my quirk is going to do with it, so maybe this isn't such a good idea. It'll be fine. What's the worst that could happen? A brief moment of silence follows. Bye-bye, radio station? No, with this song. I suppose that would require quite a stretch of the imagination. We're confusing everyone talking about your quirk. I'm not telling anyone. You'll have to figure it out yourselves. The suspension is killing us all. Well, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going then. Wait, what? I'm turning my mic off and listening. The music will start soon. Have some. Wait, no, what? Why? Bad Day by Daniel Powter. Canary. Okay, this is happening. Please don't hate me for this. Silence falls. Where's the moment we need it the most? Midori couldn't almost believe the words were falling from his mouth. He was alone in the small studio booth, singing to the microphone that hung over his head. He clutched onto his headphones, almost pressing the backing track closer to his ears as he continued to sing. They tell me your blue skies fade to gray. President Mike had shown him the list of songs they were scheduled to play that evening. He hadn't lied when he said that this was the one he chose, but it also happened to be the one of the they were going to use anyway. Perhaps it fitted into one of those euphoria songs he mentioned. Lighting the mood of others, but maybe it did the opposite. But Midoriya wasn't focused on what his quirk would do. It didn't matter anyway. He wasn't focusing on using it on himself, and no one was in earshot enough for it to have affect them. His power wouldn't travel over the radio. He already tried that. You're faking a smile with the coffee to go. That reminded him of Shinso. He didn't know why. Maybe it was the coffee bit. Shinso really liked this caffeine. It probably really disturbed his sleep schedule. Maybe that was the point. What did matter was that, quirk or no, Midoriya could feel a smile stretching across his face, as he probably was lost to the tune. That was all that mattered now. He almost forgot in that moment that hundreds, maybe even thousands, probably thousands, of people were listening to him too. 'Cause you had a bad day, you're taking one down, you sing a sad song just to turn it around. And maybe this was turning his day around. That smile of his grew wider. The true meaning of the song, or whatever its lyrics meant to convey, just didn't matter anymore. All that did was the confidence that brewed steadily in Midoriya's chest, and how that mental barrier between the thoughts and words simply crumbled as he sang. Perhaps this time it wouldn't be so hasty to build itself up again, because after all, what difference would the sports festival make after singing here? The only difference then would be that people could see him as well as hear him. You had a bad day. President Mike was grinning. He smiled so wide it hurt, and it continued to hurt all the way through the song. He wondered how his little canary was faring. He didn't sound nervous. That thought made him even smile wider. They'd given him a sheet of lyrics with Azura hastily printing off for him, but the lack of distant sound of flapping paper made Yamada wonder if Midoriya had even bothered with it. Well, I need a blue sky holiday. Perhaps it was part of his quirk, remembering lyrics. That would explain how he was able to remember such obscure facts. Then again, that could be just Midoriya above average intelligence shining through. President Mike was almost sad at the thought of Canary leaving his form group, but the world would be missing out on an incredible little hero if he didn't. You had a bad day. Shinso was sitting in his room, scrolling through the various Canary hashtags that earphone girl had mentioned. People really did seem to like they enjoyed listening to him. Shinso didn't blame them. He did too. He always knew what to say, even if he didn't say it out loud, even often enough. He glanced at the clock. Wait, is it Midoriya radio show at the moment? Shinso had never listened to it live, considering Midoriya had only told him about it a day before. He hastily found the Put Your Hands Up radio website to tune in, struggling with his earplugs in the process. He envied Jiro. She didn't have this problem. His eyes widened when he eventually turned up the volume. You really don't mind. You had a bad day. Midoriya was singing in the Jiro household. She blamed her parents. They were musicians, after all. They had always been quite fond of President Mike's radio show. They said that he ran his hero agency well, and if Jiro ended up a hero like him, they'd be more than proud. Jiro didn't see it. President Mike was always too loud for her liking. What she did like was when Canary joined the radio ensemble. He was a real breath of fresh air, and painstakingly relatable. That was why she found herself joining the crowd surrounding the Class 1B, with Canary's keycard. She would have stepped in, but that guy Shinso beat her to it, and she was kind of interested where it would lead to. That was when she saw a bundle of green hair snatch the card away from right under her nose. And when they then rematerialized next to Shinso, like he'd learned how to hide in plain sight from a young age. Naturally, she'd followed them, expected them to take the card straight to the principal. So imagine her surprise when she heard Midoriya's voice. It was Canary's voice. So she bottled away her inner fangirl and confronted them about it. And gosh, Canary was exactly like them in real life, as he was on radio, only perhaps a little more timid, if that were possible. You kick up the leaves and the magic is lost. And wow, he really could sing. It was like as soon as the music started, a switch was flipped inside him, and all those anxieties and worries just faded away as the song swelled into being. Jiro wished she had that confidence. Talking was one thing, something that Midoriya couldn't even seem to do well, but singing, Canary had the whole thing backwards. You work at a smile and you go for a ride. She looked forward to seeing what he could really do. Midoriya was on the radio. Mute, sweet little Midoriya was singing on the radio. Uraraka stared at the wall, the music playing softly across her apartment. You had a bad day. Midoriya was Canary. Inko blew her nose, tossing the tissue into a growing mountain beside her. This was the first time she'd ever heard her son truly sing, and it was beautiful. The music faded out and Midoriya sang his last note. The problem with that song was that it faded out rather than having a definite ending, so he had to make one up. It couldn't really have gone too badly, or it could have been horrendous. Those were the only two explanations for the literal radio silence that followed the ending of the music. Present Mike. Yeah! And no, stop yelling in my ears when I'm not expecting it, please. Present Mike's roaring laughter is heard. You did it! Yay? No, you need to do a proper one. A proper what? Present Mike clears his throat. Warning, dutifully noted. Yeah! Is he finished? I took off my headphones. Wait, yes, he's finished. Now you go. Do I really have to? Go! Canary takes a deep breath. Yeah! Silence. Did you... He just sang that. That was awesome! I am never doing that again. What? No! Can I just come back now? I guess. What do you mean, you guess? Well then, let's have another musical intervention as we save Canary from this little soundproof booth. This next song better be for a musical. As a Disney song began to play over the radio, Midori let the wireless headphone hang loose around his neck as he opened the door to see Present Mike standing there waiting for him. High five! He yelled, holding out his hand to do just that. Midoriya beamed and instead threw himself into a hug. Aww, exclaimed Azora from across the room. Everything about that is adorable. Thank you, Midoriya whispered. Present Mike hugged him back. You're the one doing all the work, little co-host. Canary needs a matching leather jacket, interjected Azora. That would make him even more adorable. Seriously, your listeners don't know what they're missing out on. But can I have a high five, though? Exclaimed Present Mike as they finished their hug. Azora filmed Midoriya jump to reach his hand. After the sports festival, I'm posting this. The blue-skinned woman grinned as she replayed the video to her Nanako. How are you feeling about the sports festival now, Canary? Present Mike questioned as they walked back to the main studio. Midoriya smiled. I think I'm ready. That was chapter 12 of Canary. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!